You served on the advisory board of the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. You were also awarded and inducted to the IP Hall of Fame. Given your experience and contribution to the international intellectual property scene, are you happy with the current systems of registration and protection of intellectual property rights? What current challenges do you feel need to be addressed?
This is a very challenging question, and I like it because for many years, at least for the last 15 years, I have been fighting for the need for intellectual property profession to move into the knowledge worlds. The intellectual property agreements, as we all know, which are formulated through the process of negotiation WIPO conducts, are a condition for accession to the WTO, by virtue of which the TRIPS agreement of WTO dictates that any member of the World Trade Organization has to be committed to the World Intellectual Property Organization agreements. This is great, and I was part of the negotiations, accession of countries to the World Organization, and in this career of my life, I mean, as an old man, I have seen a lot of progress in this regard. But the intellectual property regulatory body, WIPO, has to now address the issue of knowledge products. Under WIPO and under the WTO, there are products and services. Knowledge products are neither services nor products. Look at Google. What does Google sell? It doesn't sell services, it doesn't sell products. You access Google, you get the information, you don't pay for it, a third party pays, being the advertiser. Today, the most valuable asset or product is knowledge, and not anymore services nor commercial products, or what we call products, touchable. Therefore, I think we have a big mission and a very important challenge to develop and start the negotiation process for intellectual property rules to govern and control the protection of intellectual property rights. On the internet today, people think that there is protection because they know about the domain management system. The domain name management system is the only intellectual property protection on the internet. You protect your email address and nobody can access it, and there are ways to resolve issues of dispute. And we are one of the 7 global dispute bodies for disputes on domain name registrations. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how do you protect and control companies that are now the largest companies of the world. The largest companies of the world are not anymore automotive manufacturers, nor banks, nor oil companies, nor real estate, airlines, nothing. It's the knowledge companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and the like. Now, these are in another space, and the US continues to insist that this virtual world is not under any jurisdiction and it has no boundaries. But that cannot continue. We cannot continue in this world. In the movement towards complete global digitalization, and I'm authoring a book today on the inevitable digital future, you cannot continue to ignore the most important assets, and you say that they are outside my domain, and nobody has to mess up with them. I believe that with the new, of course, everybody is waiting for the new president in the United States of America, U.S. being the greatest global power, economic power, and major decision maker in both the Intellectual Property Organization and the World Trade Organization. We're hoping that there will be a new round of negotiations, and we have a new president now, what you call Director General who is a wonderful person, now has been elected the DG of the WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization. In the next week, we will elect a Director General for the World the World Trade Organization, I'm sorry. We will be electing this next week, the world will be electing a new DG for the World Trade Organization, and the candidate who is most appropriate and suitable for this position is Mr. Hamid Mamdouh, who serves currently as the Deputy Director General. And I think the moment he is elected and the moment the US President is elected, the world will need to go into a restructuring, a reforming process of both WIPO and WTO. So we have a great challenge ahead of us for these two organizations to grab with the fourth industrial revolution, and we cannot stay in the agreements of 1996 or on the intellectual property agreements that have been developed through a century of negotiations. We have a new world, we need new world rules. And this is a must, and if we don't do it, the world will be in a real mess, because the future is for digital companies, digital inventions, digital products. And we cannot ignore this fact and continue to deal as if the world is only goods and services.